Hello, I'm Andrew Newton and I'm going to do an overview of my 1.3 metre Depron Spectre. The original design for the Spectre plane came from Alex Grieve, also known as IB Crazy on the RC forums, and he sells kits made from EPP, but this is my tape covered 6mm Depron version. And the wing is basically my version of the Experimental Airlines Armin wing, and I've got a build video on my channel that shows how I use Depron to build Armin wings basically, so go and have a look at that if you want some more information. Now this wing's slightly different in that the ailerons are just cut out rather than full span. The wing chord is 200mm or 8 inches. Thickness is about 20mm thick, so it's a nice slim 10% airfoil. 2" by 12" ailerons, a 1.5" by 9" elevator, no rudder. Okay, so this is a twin boom pusher, and the benefits of having a twin boom is that the prop doesn't have to clear the fuselage or a single boom down here. Like it does for the Bixler or most single boom pusher planes. That means the fuselage doesn't have to be big enough to clear the prop. It only really has to be big enough to fit the battery in. And it's also got swept forward wings. The tips are swept about 40mm forward of the root here. Now, why have a swept forward wing? Number one, it looks really cool flying. Number two, it gives really good anti-stall characteristics. You can fly it really slowly and still have control. It doesn't tip stall very easily at all. Number three, it makes it really hook into a turn. It really grips the air in the turns. Any flex in the wings during the turn add to the turning momentum, so it sort of gives positive feedback to the turns. Alright, so how do we build it? So we basically build two Armin wing halves, and to get the forward sweep, I slice a little wedge out of the middle section here, about 15mm at the front, going back to 0 at the back, off each side, and then with the spar inserted, and we'll have this little gap open, we have tape ready, and we apply hot glue into the join and push the two halves together, and the spar bends as the join comes together, and then you tape that down and hold it until the glue sets. So the spar is actually bent inside the wing there, but that seems to work quite well. The twin booms are just a normal arrow shaft spar, normal 32" arrow shaft cut in half, so these are both 16 inches. And the way I put it together, make the tail section first and glue the two spars onto the tail, make sure they're nice and flat, and then to join it to the wing, I cut a little slice out of the top surface here, both wings, and then force the spar in along the bottom surface until it butts up to the main spar. And then I just applied lots of moisture and Gorilla Glue in there, so that the Gorilla Glue foams up and makes a really nice strong bond. And while that's happening, I'm weighted everything down flat on a table so that the wing and the tail surface end up level. Now the aileron servos are positioned right out here, which is sort of at the end of the spar, and that means that I could route the wire out past the end of the spar and back along the front where there's a nice clear channel. Now I'll describe a few of the build methods that I've standardised on for just about all of my planes. Number one is the nose cone, which also holds the battery. And that's just made from soft, I think it's EPP, this packing material, sort of soft foam. I make a little cup and it's just held together with tape. I tried hot gluing it together, but the hot glue just dissolves this foam. So it's covered with tape to hold it into shape. Velcro straps to stick it onto the fuselage, and it has a tongue made out of zip ties and tape with some Velcro on there, and the battery is positioned on that one. This one does actually have a hatch, just for a bit better access around here. Now this plane's a little bit unique in that the tail is attached to the wing, so most of the servos are on the tail and wing assembly, so I've actually got the receiver attached to the wing, and then that's only got one servo connector for the ESC going into the fuselage. Next up are the wing tie downs. So they're carbon fibre rods. You could use anything really, bamboo skewers, bits of dowel, but I reinforce them with ID card plastic, and that's just hot glued onto the side of the fuselage with a little bit of hot glue holding the tie down bars in, and that makes it nice and strong. I've got a little hole here that the receiver on the bottom of the wing fits into. The motor mount is just a piece of aluminium bent up in an L shape, double-sided tape onto an ID card which is hot glued onto the foam of the fuselage. Fuselage is basically just a foam square tube. I have actually tapered this one up, but doesn't really need to be. This is about 60 millimeters square, using flight test style A-folds instead of experimental airline style bends. I'll just quickly demonstrate how to make the fuselage folds. Say imagine it was going to be a 50 millimeter square tube. You cover one side with tape, and then you measure 50 millimeters all the way along, and then on two of them you just measure back the thickness of the foam, so that's 6 millimeters, so measure back 6 millimeters, and these are going to be the side walls. Now just half score on these marks, don't go all the way through, and that one gets cut off. Alright, so now we just tear out these bits. Now we just put some hot glue in here, maybe on that side as well, and that goes side like that. Same thing here, hot glue down in there and on that side, and glue it together like that. And the final one, hot glue on the insides there, and then glue that down. And that just makes a really nice square fuselage. The ESC is just on the outside for ease of access and cooling. And I've just covered it with tape, cloth tape on the bottom and top for a bit more strength for landing, and black tape up here to reduce the flare in camera views. So that's the Depron Spectre. It's my favourite motor plane at the moment, and it also can stand on its tail like that, which is very cool. It's very manoeuvrable. You can rip it round in tight circles, flip it upside down. It's just a lot of fun, and makes a good sort of close proximity FPV plane. It can slope soar reasonably well in good conditions, or you can just have fun doing aerobatics with it, flying slow and low. Good fun. Give it a go.